So when you signed up, you said you did a 6 month contract and then went home. Was it 6 months and that contract was over and you could be completely done, or
Yeah.
was it 6 months with a break? Okay, so you decided to go for another contract then, right?
Yeah, so once you do your first contract, you can kind of set yourself up for like whatever contract you want after that. Because
Okay.
essentially Blackwater is making their money on you in the first 6 months, and then everything past that is all just like gravy. So I went home for 30 days, came back on a 3 month contract, and then at that 3 month contract, that's when I ended up. I was on the QRF for Blackwater, which I mean, when you think of Blackwater and you see the Blackwater videos, that was us. That was the QRF, and you can go on YouTube and you can Google it. And there's a guy up top, Top Gunner, and he's screaming. And he's got a cam on. Like that was my buddy. I'm gonna call him Robert, just to make sure nobody knows who he is. But like I was in those convoys. I was the one where like we smashed a vehicle, and I was like, "Ooh, I remember that one. Ooh, yeah, I remember getting that Kia. That was a good one." Um, and after that 3 months, I got fired from Blackwater because we were trying to take our up armor off of our own Humvee after we bent the frame in a vehicle accident. And then they were like, go to Kirkuk, hang out there for like 5 days, and then go on your leave, and then you can come back to Kirkuk because you've been fired, but like nobody really tracks anything. And that's when it occurred to me like it doesn't matter what happens. There's no way that the DoD and the Department of State and the CIA and the NSA and the DIA are tracking anything across like what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, they were like, Morgan, you're fired one day, but really, we're just going to move you, and then we'll put you back on that same contract like 2 weeks later. And it was mind-boggling. And they
So
made me a team leader.
so why even fire you?
Well, because that's the beauty about being a contractor is that you are at the will of the actual like contracting department.
Mm-hmm.
So State Department contracts Blackwater. You're an independent contractor for Blackwater. We had guys getting fired for taking a piss outside of a bathroom instead of going in and taking a wit. Like they could fire us on demand. It was like a single serve Starbucks cup. They would use you as long as they needed you, and when they were done, they would just get rid of you. And it didn't matter what it was. It could be like the smallest infraction. We had a guy that got drunk and ended up kicking through his door to his chew and cut his leg. He got canned. Literally had a guy that got canned for pissing on a wall instead of going into the bathroom. I mean, they could literally just come up to you and say, "Yeah, you know what, Morgan, I don't like your mustache today. You're out."
So then you would just basically go get benched for a few days and wait to pick up a new contract?
Yeah, pretty much back then, because it was like you're already cleared. They're not going to track you from Baghdad to, and they gave me like a list of places: Tikrit, Ramadi, Kirkuk. I really could have gone anywhere I wanted.
To
They were
just
like,
go
you just,
hang out?
yeah, they were like, well, you just can't be in Baghdad because they're not going to track
Mm.
you. There's not going to be a whole lot of like people that remember that I fired Morgan. So if you show up on a list for us to be the State Department, nobody's going to be like, is that the same Morgan that got fired from Baghdad?
Yeah, there's too many other things going on at the time. So what
Yeah.
do you when you're hanging out in one of these cities, you're not like are you on a base? Are you on a military base? Like how does that work if you're an American moving around these bases and stuff? Like do you just show up on a base and like hang out or you're not out in the city obviously, right?
No, no. So we would have either the embassy would be embedded within a base itself. So
Yeah.
when you hear about the Green Zone, there was like 4 or 5 military bases, and then you had the U.S. Embassy on the base. Most other locations, you would have a RIO, what the heck, regional embassy office. So it's essentially a small embassy, and it was either on the base or as close to a base, and that's where you would go and hang out. So that's where all the diplomats hung out. That's where we hung out. And then if we needed anything, we'd just drive down to the base, and that's where you
Yeah.
get your fresh fruit and stuff. That was good. That was good eating.
What other kind of contracts were there? Like was it all just VIP security stuff or were there I don't know. I mean, I've seen videos of Blackwater contractors like snipers on rooftop. There's a video I shared on my Instagram like a year ago. I'll share it again at some point where there's a Blackwater sniper shooting at dudes and he yells over like, "Hey, one of those Anglico dudes just dropped a bomb." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool. He's talking about Anglico, which is my old unit." And so were they working in conjunction with the military on like an operation? Like how does that work?
No, it's so you would have anytime you'd go to a location, you would post security on it, right?
Hmm.
So if you go to the Ministry of the Interior, you'd usually have a team go out there before you. They'd get up on the rooftops. You could say they were snipers if you wanted to, but really you're just kind of posting security. The biggest one that you probably heard of is Najaf. So we had a principal in Najaf in '04, and then that embassy office got, or wherever it was, got attacked, and they were up there with the Marines on the roof, like directing fire. So it's really just it wasn't part of the contract, but if it happened, it just happened.
You're there. Might as
Yeah,
well help, right?
yeah, it's like, hey, we got forces, we got a couple dudes that know how to shoot. So, why the hell would we sit there and cower? Like that's not your job. That's not what you're getting paid for.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So when you were fired, and you're put on a bench for a little bit, did you pick up another contract, or what happened after that?
No, they essentially said go to Kirkuk, hang out, leave all your crap up there, and then when you come back off of leave, we'll just send you back up to Kirkuk. And they made me a team leader when I got back up to Kirkuk. So I'm like 20, 24. Yeah, I was 24 years old. I'm an Air Force guy, and I'm leading a team of Blackwater dudes. And it's like, Reggie's a Navy SEAL, and this guy's a couple of recon Marines and a couple of Rangers. And I'm like,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm the Air Force guy. And they're like, you might be the Air Force guy, but you have like the most time in country of anybody that's up here. Plus, you know everything about Kirkuk because you've been up here before. So
Yeah.
it's just like, I'm telling you, like when I say I landed ass first into stuff, like it just kind of happened, and it's odd looking back on it because it wasn't like me focusing and trying to figure out how to become a team leader. It was just like, oh, Morgan knows what he's doing, go for it.
Do you think something like that could happen today, or is
No.
that yeah right? It's like way, probably managed way heavier handed with the management from the State Department, right?
Oh yeah, no, it definitely couldn't happen like that today. But I was there so early that they were just asking people like, who wants to run a team? Who wants to be a tactical commander? And if you raised your hand, they'd be like, all right, hey, we're standing up team 16. There's your new team lead. There's your new tactical commander. Like, here's the rest of your team members. Go for it. And you get some really shitty, like, this is the one thing I learned is you get really shitty people in all branches.
Hmm.
And you can have a turd that's like a former ranger, and most of them are just awesome dudes, but every once in a while you're like, dude, how are you a SEAL? Like,
Yeah.
how are you like if people just freezing up in the middle of like nothing? It was like the craziest thing. You're like, dude, you were a ranger and you're sitting here frozen because you heard some celebratory gunfire. It was just the oddest. Some people are cut out for it, some people aren't, man.
There's always a 10%.
Yeah.
That was going to be one of my questions. You have all these guys. I'm assuming there's no females, so all these dudes from all different backgrounds. A lot of special operations guys, which takes its own mentality just to go do that, and then it takes a whole nother mentality to go become a contractor. Were there a lot of people like butting heads? Was there